The recent joint procurement of CV90 infantry fighting vehicles and the broader adoption of the common armored vehicle system represent one of the most consequential transformations in Nordic land warfare since the Cold War. This is not simply about acquiring modern vehicles, it is about redesigning how small nations prepare for conflict against a major power by embedding interoperability, common logistics, and collective readiness into the very foundation of their armored forces. In a region where geography, climate, and security threats impose unique challenges, this unification of armored capabilities could prove decisive for both deterrence and survival. The CV90 is not a new vehicle. Developed by Sweden in the 1980s and entering service in the 1990s, it has proven adaptable, with more than 1,300 units delivered to multiple countries, including Norway, Finland, Denmark, and the Netherlands. Its modular armor, varied weapon systems, and ability to operate in harsh winter conditions made it ideal for Nordic terrain. Yet what matters today is not the existence of CV90 fleets, but the decision by Sweden and Denmark to pool resources for over 200 new vehicles, while simultaneously aligning this effort with the broader CAVS framework that includes Patria 6x6 armored carriers. The result is a dual-track, heavy-tracked IFVs for frontline combat and versatile wheeled vehicles for mobility, logistics, and support. Together, they form a layered complementary land force. On a purely technical level, the CV90 remains one of the most advanced IFVs in service. Depending on variant, it mounts a 30mm or 35mm autocannon in a modernized turret with advanced sensors, stabilized fire control, and networked communications. The armor package is modular, scalable against different threats, and has been tested against anti-armor weapons in Ukraine. The tracked chassis provides mobility in snow, forests, and rough terrain where wheeled vehicles would struggle. Beyond weapons and armor, its real advantage lies in its growth potential. The Mark IIIC variant being acquired now includes advanced digital systems, battle management integration, and improved survivability. That ensures the platform will remain relevant for decades, especially as it integrates drones, loitering munitions, and counter-UAV suites. The CAVS program, built around the Patria 6x6, fills the other half of the equation. While the CV90 is expensive, heavy, and designed for high-intensity combat, the Patria 6x6 is affordable, modular, and multi-role. It can serve as a troop carrier, command post, ambulance, or communications hub. Crucially, CAVS is a multinational framework involving Finland, Latvia, Germany, Sweden, and potentially more partners. That means countries can procure similar vehicles, share training pipelines, and create interoperable fleets. For small militaries, this standardization reduces the crippling inefficiencies of maintaining unique platforms. Instead of every nation sustaining its own spare parts, training simulators, and repair facilities, CAVS offers economies of scale. The end result is that when one Nordic battalion rolls into the field alongside another, their vehicles are not just compatible in combat, they are supportable by the same logistics tail. The operational impact of this integration is profound. Imagine a NATO scenario where Russian forces attempt to destabilize the Baltic region. A combined Nordic battle group could deploy CV90 platoons supported by Patria 6x6 command nodes, Archer or K9 self-propelled artillery batteries, and Leopard 2 tanks. The CV90s would spearhead mechanized infantry assaults with tracked mobility, ensuring effectiveness even in frozen forests. Patria vehicles would bring reinforcement and sustainment across paved and semi-paved routes, enabling rapid movement between sectors. Because the fleets share training, communications, and spare parts, units from Sweden, Denmark, Norway, and Finland could plug into each other seamlessly. In practice, this turns a collection of small national armies into a regional armored corps with far greater staying power. The strategic motivation is obvious. Russia's invasion of Ukraine has demonstrated both the value of modern armored forces and the logistical nightmare of maintaining them. Western support to Ukraine has been complicated by the diversity of donated vehicles, from Leopards to Bradleys to AMX-10RCs. Each came with unique parts, ammunition, and training requirements. The Nordic states have drawn the opposite lesson. Standardize now, so that in wartime they are not caught improvising. Joint procurement of CV90s is not simply about saving money, though the contracts are large, around $2.5 billion USD. It is about creating a coherent armored architecture that can scale quickly under NATO command. Climate and geography magnify the importance of this decision. In the Arctic and subarctic, mobility is survival. Winter conditions destroy poorly adapted vehicles. Snow and ice limit fuel distribution. Extreme cold strains engines and batteries. The CV90 was designed in Sweden for precisely this environment, with cold start systems, high ground clearance, and proven reliability. The Patria 6x6, while wheeled, has been tested for similar endurance, though of course it lacks the off-road capacity of a tracked IFV. This dual fleet therefore allows commanders to allocate the right tool for each task. CV90s for direct combat in rough terrain, Patria 6x6 for mobility and support across broader operational areas. Of course, there are weaknesses. Even with standardization, small countries face supply chain vulnerabilities. A factory strike in one state could ripple across the entire fleet. The reliance on a handful of contractors, BAE Systems, Hägglunds for CV90, Patria for CAVS, creates political risks. Moreover, neither vehicle family solves the problem of short-range air defense, which Ukraine has proven critical for armored survival. Unless CV90 platoons are paired with dedicated anti-drone and anti-missile coverage, they remain exposed. This highlights a broader truth. Armored vehicles alone do not win battles. They must operate as nodes in a wider network of sensors, fires, and electronic warfare. The industrial impact is equally significant. By aligning procurement, the Nordic states strengthen their defense industries and bargaining power. Saab, Patria, BAE, and Rheinmetall all benefit, but they also become more deeply embedded in national security planning. That encourages long-term investment and, importantly, political buy-in from voters. Sweden's decision to raise defense spending above 2.8% of GDP by 2026 is politically easier to defend when tied to concrete projects like CV90 modernization. For Denmark, historically cautious about heavy land forces, joining this program signals a strategic shift. Land power is again a national priority. There are lessons beyond the Nordic region. For small or medium states, standardization across allies is a force multiplier. Vietnam or Southeast Asian partners facing large neighbors can draw insights from the Nordic example. Investing in fewer, more compatible systems shared across allies may provide more real deterrence than a patchwork of diverse platforms. The model is not just armored vehicles, it can extend to artillery, drones, air defense, and communications. Collective resilience rests as much on shared spare parts as on shared values. The long-term trajectory of CV90 and CAVS adoption points toward even deeper integration. Networked battle management systems will eventually link IFVs, artillery, drones, and command vehicles in a single data loop. Distributed lethality, where small, dispersed units coordinate precision fires, becomes possible only if vehicles are interoperable at the system level. That is the path the Nordics are walking. By embedding this philosophy now, they may not just deter aggression, but redefine how small allied states fight together in the 21st century. The story of Nordic armored modernization is not glamorous in the way aircraft carriers or stealth jets are, but it is arguably more relevant. Wars are decided not only in the skies, but on the ground, where infantry must seize and hold terrain. For the Nordic states, choosing to modernize together rather than separately transforms their geography from a liability into a strategic shield. It tells Russia and any potential adversary that an attack on one Nordic army is an attack on an interoperable, resilient, and united armored force. That is the essence of deterrence, and it is being built today not by rhetoric, but by the steady delivery of CV90s and Patria 6x6s to motor pools across Scandinavia.